Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about how I got my medical billing and coding program paid for, and I'm also going to be giving tips about trade schools. Alright, so if you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. I have been a medical coder for over 10 years. I created my channel with the hope of sharing all the things that I know with all of you. So I hope that you will subscribe if you want more of this content, like this, and share this video if it helps you. Okay, so let's get started. All right, I have been getting lots of emails from people lately, and they're saying that, Blue, I'm a single mom, I'm a single parent, and I really want to do this, but I don't have the money to go to school, or the school is really expensive, and they're telling me figures like $15,000, $30,000 for a program just to get a coding certification. This is not a degree. This is just a certification. I'm like, wow. So I'm here today to say that there are lots of programs out there. You have to get very proactive in how you're looking for them. Now, how I got my schooling paid for was I went through a program called the WIA. At that time, it has now been renamed the WIOA program, right? Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, okay? It was renamed a few years ago. Now, this program, I found out about it because I was unemployed and I had to go to the unemployment office or the workforce office. Some people call it unemployment office. Some people call it the workforce office. I've always called it the unemployment office. But I went there and they made us go to these different classes. Like we had to do a class for how to write a resume, and we had to do one for interview skills. And this one was about like the programs that were available for us since we were laid off. I was technically laid off. And so this program had funding to send people to school. You can go back to school to learn a trade, they said, because it helps the economy and it helps the local area with, you know, more skilled workers, and to putting people who have maybe been out of the workforce for a while back into the workforce with a highly skilled job. So, you know, they have this money for training. I'm going to leave the link for this program down in the description box below. I implore you guys, if this is your situation and you have no money and you really want to go to school and you want to try this, go to your local workforce office and ask them about this program. Now, this program has funds for lots of people, okay? So be sure to check it out. And this is something that you have to get proactive about. There is no sense in going so many thousands of dollars into debt when you don't have to, because you already don't have the money. And it doesn't really make a lot of sense if you don't have the money to get into even more debt, trying to get yourself in a better place, right? So you really have to start asking questions and you have to start doing your research. Now, like I said, going to be leaving that link. There's lots of different things out there right now, especially because we're in the pandemic. There's lots of different programs. So please look into these programs, because there's no sense in getting a student loan debt of X amount of dollars for something that you don't really know if you are going to fully enjoy or even want to do. I have heard from people who studied completely, got through the program, got into the real world, got a job, and decided that they hated it because they just didn't have that support. You know, they don't have, because your work environment does play a lot into how you see the occupation as well. For me, that's why I try to get very selective about who I have around me, even when I'm at work, because your coworkers can make or break the environment a lot of times. So you have to really stay focused in that. And my focus, as I learned over the years, is on the coding. And the more I got into the coding, the more I enjoyed the coding and I liked it and I really love it. So now I'm at that point. And I believe people can get there with anything that they do. It doesn't necessarily have to be medical coding or medical billing and coding. It could be any profession that they choose. It is going to depend on how you see it. But like I said, when you are wanting to get into this field, the great thing about medical billing and coding is you don't even have to go to a trade school. You don't even have to have formal training. The two major medical coding association powerhouses, the American Health Information Management Association and the American Academy of Professional Coders, both have entry-level exams that you can take without having any previous experience, without having to go through a program. You can self-study and be able to go in that way. Well, a lot of people say, well, how do I self-study? You know, what do I do? I do have a video out about that. I'm going to leave it down in the description box below as well. So that way you guys can check it out. It is possible to learn this on your own. People have done it for years. They've skipped the entire trade school process, and they said that they weren't going to do that. So basically the only thing that they were out of pocket was the cost of the test, and if they were with AAPC, the membership as well. AAPC does require you to be a member of their association before you can sit for a certification exam through them. AHIMA does not have this requirement. They have a separate price for members and non-members of the association. So they do have those prices available, and you can study, like I said, on your own, so you don't have to go through that whole process. A lot of times you really don't know in these trade schools what kind of training you're going to get. And this includes for people who are even going to colleges, because sometimes the colleges, they just literally sit you in front of a computer and you're going through an online program. So there's not a whole lot of instruction. So I ask that you please ask lots of questions when you are like interviewing these schools. If you decide you don't want to try to go through this WIOA program or try to look for any other funds any other way. For the military spouses out there, if you are married to a service member, they do have the MyCAA. Yeah, MyCAA program. I believe it's that one. They have funding there for spouses who are married to service members. So be sure to check that out. Look for those resources. You know, those resources are there for a reason. And it's better to go through those programs than to try to get yourself more in debt trying to get educated. There's such a, when I hear about student loan debt and people talking about student loans and how much they owe, it's horrible. It is really horrible. And especially when they go through the school, and then sometimes people go through the school and then they give up when they get out because they can't find a job right away. And I always tell people that in the beginning, medical coders are given a hard time. And I wish that was not the case, guys. I really do. I wish that they gave medical coders a chance every single time, that it was so easy to get a job in the beginning, but it's not. And it's the rare person that gets to get into a entry-level job right away. There are entry-level jobs, but you just have to look for them, and you have to know how to look for them. As I talk about in my playlist for medical coding job listings explained, there's different titles for medical coders. And a lot of times it's not going to be under entry-level medical coder where you're going to be able to find those entry-level positions, because I have been able to find some where no experience was necessary and they were looking for brand new medical coders who had just graduated. So be sure to take a look at that playlist and watch those videos, because you know, I talk about those a lot. I'll probably be doing some more videos about the job listings explained next week. I'm going to be having some more of the credential and the degree programs explained as well, because I do want to talk about the RHIT that's going to be coming up probably next week. But I did want to talk about this today, about the schooling, because lots of people say, well, Blue, you know, I really want to do something better with my life, but I don't have the money. There's programs out there, guys, and they're there for parents. They're there for people who have been disabled. There are people for military spouses. There's money for kids who have aged out of the foster care system. There's all of these things that are available. You just have to know where to look. FOSFA is another really good website to look at, but the association websites, I know for AHIMA, they do not take FOSFA. I don't think AAPC does either. But look around for those funding for something that's something that you can qualify for, okay? And it's not a time to be like, well, I'm ashamed and I don't want to do that. Guys, this is so that you can get better. Because when you are educated and then you can give back. Look at me. Now, I am literally a success story from this program. Now, this program paid for me to go to school. The only thing I had to do was pay for a little bit of my test. I don't even remember how much it was. It wasn't very much that I had to pay for, but they paid for part of it and I paid for part of it. And that was literally the only thing I paid out of pocket for. And with that, I have been a very productive member because I've had a job since I've got out of school. It took me 2 months to find a job because I had to go through a temporary agency. And I went through that. I went through, we can't hire you because you don't have experience and yada, yada, yada. I went through that. But then, finally getting a job, I have successfully been in a job for over the last decade. And it's been with medical coding. And I've had four different positions right in succession of each other, okay? I think the longest I had of a break was the 2 weeks from the time that the previous position that I had before I got here. That was literally 2 weeks because I told them I could be here literally 2 weeks to the day that I got the call. And it was literally 2 weeks to the day that I got the call. And I was literally like moving. My mom was helping me move. And this was like the third time I had to move in the span of less than a year, but I was willing to do it, but that was me and my journey. Okay. But like I said, that was the longest I had been not working. Okay. But I've been a productive member of the economy and working in a very good paying job. Now, a lot of people ask me, well, Blue, what does it pay? I don't talk about money, guys, on my channel because every place in the US is going to pay different, okay? But medical coders do get paid well. Now, think when you're hearing about the salary, okay? Don't look at these really high salaries because I see them. I see these trade schools do it where they put the very high end of what medical coders can make, and I'm like, why would you do that to people? But there's people who are trying to get people to sign up for their programs because they have quotas to meet. And I understand that. But at the same time, too, I don't think that it's necessary to mislead people. And a lot of people have been misled when it comes to the salary. So this is why I always tell you guys, go to the Department of Labor or to the Bureau of Statistics and look it up for your area. Because like I said, like people in Florida are not going to get paid the same as people in Michigan. People in New York are not going to get paid the same as people in California when they're first starting. So this is why I tell you guys, don't take it personally when I don't talk about it. Just go to those Department of Labor or the Bureau of Statistics and find out that information for your area. When you are trying to select a program, and now I will use trade school and vocational school interchangeably. They're the same thing, guys. Trade school, vocational school, it's the same thing, okay? Make sure that they are training you for the American Health Information Management Association credentials or the American Academy of Professional Coder credentials. As long as they have that, then they're okay. Because there's other associations out there that people don't ask for those credentials. So make sure that they are training you for a HIMA or AAPC credentials, all right? If you don't go directly to their websites themselves. Because even going to the trade schools or the vocational schools or even the colleges, again, you're not going to know the quality that you're going to get. So again, ask questions, especially if you're going to end up paying out of pocket or if you end up getting a loan. Please get a loan very, very carefully and think about that before you do. And see if there's any funding that you're eligible for before you try to go get yourself in a bunch of debt. Because what is the sense of that, guys? What is the sense when you don't need to? Okay, be smart about what you are selecting. Yes, it is your future. And if you want to do this, you can, like I said, you can study on your own. It's not impossible. I do have that video and it's got a list of the books. You can also go to the AHIMA website or the AAPC website. I know AHIMA, they do have a list of the recommended study materials for their exams. So you can also get those books as well and check them out and study with those. So that way and see if it'll help you. Look on my Patreon channel. I do have a Patreon channel. I do talk about like coding exercises more on there because with trying to put those coding exercises on YouTube, nobody watches them. So that's why I put it on my Patreon channel. But check it out. If you want to check it out, you can. I do a lot of medical terminology exercises there as well. So again, I'll be leaving that link down in the description box below. Now this wasn't meant to talk about my Patreon, but this was meant so that you guys know that there are resources out there available, and don't try to do all of this getting into debt just because, it's easier for you or whatever. It's never going to be easy if, the debt just keeps incurring and incurring. Don't do that to yourself. And when I hear about people, well, I didn't know this and I didn't know that, and that's why I try to do videos on my channel that speak to what you guys are wanting. And when I've had quite a few emails lately about this. Where can I go for help? Where can I go and find funding? And going to your local workforce office and asking about that Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, asking about that is gonna really be like a good start, a good direction. Okay, at least this way you can know where you stand, and if you qualify for any of those things, if you've been laid off and things like that, it's a good place to start. And that's the one thing about this pandemic right now, is that people have really started to think about the future of their work and what they do and their occupations, because this took us all for a loop, right? Being some people in the service industry, food service, food service is really, taking a hit, a lot of restaurants, and I feel so bad, but a lot of those people have thought about, well, where do I want to go from here? I need to go back to school. I need to do something. No sense in getting yourselves into debt when there's funding out there for you. Okay. So like I said, being a success story from this program. And I tell people all the time when they ask me, how did I get it? And I tell them I went through that program. And I am so incredibly grateful, because I really don't know where I would be or what I would be doing, and I worked minimum wage. I did. And I delivered phone books, and phone books, I did pretty good. Phone books was pretty good money at that time. Obviously, phone books are a thing of the past now, with everybody having their cell phones and everything. But back then, and yes, I'm dating myself. Back then, everybody wanted a phone book. They had commercials and everything, and, it was just different. It was a different time back then, I'm making it sound like it's so long ago, but it was. It feels like it's been forever ago, and actually it hasn't. It's just been not more than a few years ago. So, but I enjoy doing this. I'm grateful for the counselor that I had, Mr. Enrique. I will always be grateful to him. I think he retired by the time I went back over there to try to thank him and say I made it. He was so glad when I finished the program, and he was even more happy when he found out that I had gotten my first job. And it was about a year later. I was trying to see if he was still there, but I think he had retired. But it's been such an amazing journey, and that's why I share, because this was blessed to me. I was blessed with this opportunity. I wouldn't have known any other way. And to have this, and then now to tell you guys about it, and I don't know if maybe you guys are in the same situation that I was, that you just had lost your job and you were at a crossroads in your life, because I was going through a job loss. I was laid off and going through a divorce, and it was horrible. It was literally like 1 minute I was married, living with my husband, and then I moved back in with my mom, because I had to start all over again. And I was okay with it. It was okay for me to start over. And I think sometimes when people have to start over, you have to sort of think it's okay to start over. I have to start over. I lost my job, or I had to move, or whatever the case may be, and I have to start over again. And I remember thinking that. I remember talking with my mom, and she's like, it's okay. You're just doing a reset. That's all you're doing. You're just resetting. And then you can do something, and you're going to go forward from there. And she was so excited. My mom was really excited. And she said, you're going to do so much. And when she was seeing me study and all these huge words I had to start learning because of medical terminology, and she's like, wow, she was sitting there watching me like say these huge words. And she's like, what does that mean? And so I would tell her, and then she would look, and she goes, very good. But she was always helping me, and it's something when you have that encouragement. And I just hope that sharing with you my experience of going through that WIOA program, I hope that it encourages you that maybe there is hope for you out there to find funds to, get into these programs where you're not having to burden yourself financially. If you've got it up here, just go and do this, because you can. Not a lot of people think, well, they're really excited and then they start to do it and they get into it and they're like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Stick with it, guys. Just stick with it, because it's going to be like that. There's going to be a lot of times when you're going to be like, oh gosh, what the heck did I do? Because how am I going to figure this stuff out? You will. You just got to be patient with yourself. And you just have to go through the paces. And even when you don't understand, you just got to keep going. Okay? So whatever you do, just make sure of those things. So to recap, check out the WIOA program if you've been laid off, or if you are in a low wage paying job, or if you're disabled, or if you have any other number of factors that are available for funds to go to school with. Check it out. Okay. And also make sure that the program that you select is with the American Health Information Management Association or the American Academy of Professional Coders that they're training you for. If you are insisting on paying it out of pocket, go directly to the association websites themselves. Pick one or the other, because it's a fraction of the cost versus going to a trade school. And if you insist on going to a trade school, make sure that they're going to train you, okay? Because at the end of the day, you're signing on that bottom line. Then you need to make sure that they're going to give you as much help as you need and tutoring as you need it, or as job placement assistance. That's really huge. But make sure that the jobs that they are placing people in are actually in the field that they're being trained for, rather than not, okay? Because sometimes I've heard of that. Oh yeah, we'll help you get a job, but then they end up helping them get a job as a secretary, okay, when they've been trained to be a medical coder. So there's a huge difference between being a secretary and being a medical coder. Even if you're working in the front office, it's way different, okay? Because technically you have been trained. So you need to be able to exercise that technical ability, okay? So make sure of those things. And whatever you do, if you want to change your life, don't overthink, just do it. Just go through these programs and ask questions and do your research, guys. That's all you have to do, is just do your research. And then by the time you know it, you're going to be on your way, right? You're going to be in school. You're going to get finished with school. You're going to take your certification exam. And then you're going to be telling me, hey, Blue, I passed my certification exam. And I'll be like, yay, let me give you a shout out. Because I do that. If you pass your certification exam, let me know. I'll give you a shout out. And that shout out goes on my community tab and on my Instagram. So, everybody will know. There's a new coder I missed. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But I hope this video helps you. Check out those programs, guys. They're out there. And if you're a spouse of a service member, again, check out the funds that are available for you as well. Okay, my CAA. Yes. All right, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that you guys have a great weekend. I will see you next week. And if you're a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider, or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. I will see y'all next time. Bye.